Hello everyone. Today we're joined with Taryn Wilkinson, who is a South African international child who was raised by a missionary family and traveled all around the world as a child. And in her adult life, she has continued her traveling legacy with the baton as a front runner for her family, going to all these different countries to be an international teacher. Not only is she an international teacher, but she's also an entrepreneur in the making, building a platform, Navigating Grief, which is incidentally all about dealing with grief and all of the taboos that we don't talk about and that we need to rip open so as to dispel them and help people get through very difficult times. Is that a correct representation, Taryn?
Perfect.
So today we're going to delve into some really pressing topics about Taryn's life. We're going to go through the layers from superficial to fundamental and integral, and let's just have fun with it. Good morning, Taryn. How are you on this fine airplanes day?
I'm doing very well.
Fantastic. Are you enjoying the flight at the moment?
Very much.
Gosh, flying is not my best friend, but
You're doing well.
am I doing well?
Doing well.
Yes, I think I've been keeping adequately calm, and this interview is definitely helping. But so, Taryn, is China treating you well? What do you think of your experience in China? How's it going for you?
I'm actually loving it more than what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Only struggle is actually the food. A bit of
The food.
a bit of language barrier, but that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the food,
Oh my gosh, the food.
that's an issue.
We recently had some Chinese food, didn't we? That was really delicious.
The Chinese barbecue.
Because usually we don't like it, do we?
And,
Usually it's quite difficult to eat. But, or as they say in China, nan hao chu, hard to eat. But
say that again. I want to say
nan hao chu.
nan hao chu.
But Taryn, I think that from time to time we do get into our Western ways of being, of sticking to the typical Western food, but from time to time taking a risk is necessary, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and so, has China been much of a culture shock for you? What's it been like?
Not that much.
Mhm.
Not that much.
Yes.
I think, to be honest, it's going to sound a bit gross. I think
Mhm.
one thing that I struggle with is how they just easily just spit on the side of the road. I think that is one thing
yeah,
that
I've
is not much
noticed
for
that.
me. But other than that, no, not really though.
I haven't really seen people spit on the side of the road in a while, actually.
I've seen it quite a bit. Oh, the other thing I think that was a shocker to me was when I just arrived,
Mm-hmm.
the stares that you get as a foreigner, and the videos that get taken, the photos that get taken.
That
Like,
is
they're so brave.
true.
They just go for it.
And they like to look at your hair, don't they?
They do.
I kind of like the attention. I think for someone who's very social,
Yeah.
someone who's very like limelight, attention seeker would enjoy it. But I think for an introvert, a lot of the time, it's kind of
It's a bit much.
daunting. Do you feel it gets a bit much?
Sometimes.
Really?
Sometimes.
Are there days where you're kind of like, oh, like I don't look good today. I don't want people looking at me, like, because I feel like that sometimes.
Not because I don't look good, but it's just like I'm not in the mood. Like just
Yeah.
I'm having an introverted moment. Like just me, just let me be.
I know exactly what you mean. Like, there are some days, like in all of my extrovertedness, there are some days where I'm like, today I don't want you looking at me, or today I'm not gonna smile at you. I'm not gonna say hi, how are you? Like, no, I don't want to look at you today.
You're good at that though.
What?
Hi.
Yeah. Most of the time I will, but sometimes when I'm alone, I'm not having a very good day. I'm just like, I can't entertain you today.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a really cute thing in a way, because like a lot of the times the reason they're doing it is because they're so very guarded from the world, and I think it's like such a unique thing about China. Like I feel like I've never been to a country that's been that guarded.
No. Yeah.
Have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I think that is why it was such a shock for me, because I've never seen. Even Indonesia, I found though that when they see like a Bulays, which is foreigner, white person, they are intrigued by them, but they're not. They'll run up to and say, "Oh, can we take a photo together?" I guess they do that. But here, it's like they stare at you as if you're some.
Yeah, like zoo animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they take pictures of you in Indonesia?
Not of me, because I'm not white. I look more local. A lot of people assume that I was local, like from one of the islands, from Ambon Island, Maluku. But with my friends, like Tatiana, she's from Ukraine. She's obviously white. So, and my friend from the States, automatically they'll run up, we flew together, they'll run up, can we take a photo together?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so they're very white focused.
Yeah.
They like those they're blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be approached. So sad. I'll stay in China. Stay a celebrity here. Because they still approach us, even though I think in China they like that white thing as well.
Yeah, they do.
But for some reason
any foreigner stands out to them though. Even though they all go to the whole white skin thing, but if you're a foreigner, it's still intriguing thing to them.
They always think I'm Indian.
Oh, really?
Always. Anywhere I go, people think I'm Indian. Like even when we went to the Indian restaurant yesterday, I was thinking that you better not ask me if I'm Indian. I was thinking, because I'm so sick of people asking me if I'm Indian, and like usually when I go to an Indian restaurant, people will say to me, "So where are you from in India?" I'm like, "I'm not Indian," and sometimes I feel like I disappoint them by saying I'm not. I'm like, because like they're excited, they want to like relate to me, and then I'm like, sorry, I'm not Indian. Sorry. Where are you from? Cyprus. Oh, Cyprus. Okay, that's like so far from what we thought it was.
Yeah.
Like, it would be.
I think you shock a lot of people with that though. They don't expect Cyprus. Like I think that's the least.
That's the thing.
Because you look very Arab as well though. You got that.
That's the thing.
Well.
The thing is, I feel like people who are a bit more like cultured will say Arab. But people who just see me at face value will say Indian.
Yeah.
I think I've only had one person in my whole life, or two max, who have said from the first time they saw me, like, you're Cypriot or you're Greek.
Wow.
Yeah, like I knew you were Greek. I think one or two people in my whole life.
Wow.
But maybe they were lying. Maybe like someone said it and they're like, I knew you were Greek. Because yeah, it's true. But you know, in Cyprus we have our own. We have our own skin color, but we have a darker skin color than people in Greece. People in Greece are like very fair, blue eyes, blonde, dirty blonde hair. You'll see that. Whereas with me,
so you have the typical Cypriot look.
I'm a bit darker. Like they'll say to me like, "Ise, what's the word? Like mavruis," which is like, well, in English it sounds kind of racist. Like they'll say you're a blackie. But like in Greek, it doesn't come off that racist.
Yeah.
So my grandma would be like, "Mavruimu," you know. But I'm sorry. We're so naughty. Thank you. Sorry. We've got to put our masks on. But yeah, so but you were saying that in South Africa I would kind of fit in. Could I be like the Indian type of South African?
Not Indian, like the typical Muslim. Not Arab, the Arab look, but like the coloured Muslim.
Yes.
The coloured Muslim.
Okay. So if I go, I'll be like, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, you would definitely. But then again, some of them has the, like you said, like they're Indian. They have that Indian feel to them as well. So it's like the Arab Indian. Like my granny's father, he was Muslim, Ahmad, and he had an Indian look to him.
Yeah, but
so you have some of them.
Yeah, you have some of them, and I feel like it's kind of like, especially like in Africa and a lot of countries, there's kind of that like grey area. Like I remember, like one of my friends in Kenya, she's like part Seychelles and then part Indian, but like she grew up, Michelle, and she looks, I don't even, like she just looks, we can't even place her. Like I would have said she was like maybe mixed race Caribbean, something like that. Like she's got that like kind of tanned look, but then kind of mousy colored thick hair. Like she can't, that's the only place I can place her. But yeah, she's like kind of ambiguous, and I feel, but yet she speaks Swahili, and she's Kenyan, like she's Kenyan to the bone, like she's lived in Kenya, all she knows is Kenya. So I feel like there's a lot, and it seems like in South Africa, same thing, like there's a lot of those grey areas where it's like you're from many different places, but you're South African, you know.
Exactly that.
And I feel like when, like even as like an international teacher, and especially for us who have traveled so much, sometimes I feel like it's a little bit complicated for me to explain where I'm from, or like my origins and stuff like that, because I have to be like, they'll usually be like, oh, you're Indian, and they're like, no, I'm not Indian. Oh, you're from Cyprus? Okay, so did you grow up there? Well, not really. Oh, so you grew up in the UK because you have a British accent?
Exactly.
No. So
then where?
And then I just give up. So I'll just be like, UK and Cyprus, and and I just give up, you know. Do you ever face like those identity crises?
I mean, for me, because even I've traveled a lot, most of my life, like I lived in SA, so in South Africa. So it's easy for me to say I'm from South Africa. However, though, but when I go to certain places, people do mistake me from certain. Then I'm like, they'll say, oh, are you from here? Are you from there? Like when I'm in Indonesia, people would think I'm local. They assume that I'm local. I don't know where I was. I was traveling somewhere, and someone thought, okay, I was just by looking at me, they thought I was African American.
What are like the common misconceptions of people thinking where you're from?
I was in Thailand. I was nearly going to say a few years ago. It was more than a few years. And they thought, I don't have a specific place that they think I'm from. I don't know. It's just all sorts. It's been all sorts.
So they're like, oh, you're African American sister. Have you ever had like other African Americans think you're African American? Be like, oh, I thought you were African American. No,
it was just some other random person that thought I was, and then she asked me where you're from. I said, so she told me, I thought you were from the States. When I was in Thailand, the locals thought I was from Thailand. Then I found weird.
I can kind of see it though. I can see like that slight Asian, not the Thailand one, but the Indonesian.
The Indonesian, yeah.
I can, because Indonesians are like darker complexion, and then you have kind of smaller eyes. I could see like
my dad's fault.
Yeah, like if you told me that you were half black, half Indonesian, I'd believe you.
Okay.
I'd be like, oh, okay, I can see it.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying that like in South Africa there are like Indonesian descents.
Yeah.
So do you think that maybe you have that?
Apparently, this is the thing with it could come from either side, from my dad or mom's side. Like my dad, I'm not Indonesian though, but on my dad's side, apparently, I don't know how it is, this Filipino or like apparently, then there is some Asian influence, I think. I don't know how true it is. My mom's side, my grandfather, my great grandfather, I spoke about earlier. He is Muslim, so we're not sure if it's, because we didn't get much details about him. But apparently, like, there's a possibility that it could be from Indonesia, the Malay area,
And it's
or the Indian influence is there as well, so we don't know.
And it's interesting because you feel like a natural connection to Asia, don't you?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that goes in with genetics.
Yeah,
like,
that is what we've been saying.
Yeah.
Like, especially my mom's grandmother. We're like, maybe that's why, because it's in the blood.
That's the thing. Because, like, I also feel like I'm always drawn. Like, I always tend to make friends with people who are from Africa. I always feel a closeness to them, and like, I haven't lived in Africa for a long time. I lived in Africa for 1 year in Zambia. That was it. Yet, I feel a closeness to them, and even my mum and sisters, we identify with the culture. We not identify with it, but we like the music. My sisters and mum always used to, like, when they would dance, they would be like intrigued by the African way of dancing, like where it's like very like lower body waist. And my mum would, like, in the privacy of our home, like when music would play, she'd like gyrate, and like my sisters would too. And then when my sisters went to university, they like automatically like went close to the Africans, to the blacks, basically. The blacks, more than Africans, like the blacks, like Caribbean, African American, like. And then I wonder, like, why? Like, is it, again, do we have a genetic predisposition to Africa? I've always wanted to do one of those, like...
I was just going to say, you need to do a test. Do those tests. Like, that's the only way you're going to find out. That's why we were able to find out certain things with our family. Like, I know my mom's father is German descent. My dad's Scottish, and then with a bit of the local, the native Capetonian, South African people group, and so it's like, yeah, you need to do that. Do your history research.
It's interesting. I'm sure there are some just like random mixing, especially for those of us who are from countries like South Africa, like. Even Cyprus, like Cyprus was ruled by by so many different empires, by the Persian Empire, by the Venetian Empire. So there's probably like all of those different mixes. But so how long have you been an international teacher for?
How long? I think 7 years now. Qatar 4 years, and then this is my 3rd year in China.
A bit of the Middle East, a bit of Asia.
Yeah.
So you're quite a seasoned international teacher by now.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah? Would you say so?
To some extent, yeah.
Would you recommend it?
Oh yes. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. Gosh, it looks glamorous, but I would so recommend it. Like, even though there are those tough times, I would recommend it to anyone. I definitely would.
What is it about it?
I just feel like, I think one of the reasons why I did is because I just felt like back at home, it was just too limiting. And like, there's more to life than just that. Also, I think you get exposed to more cultures, and your worldview gets expanded. Your way of thinking.
Do you feel like your worldview has expanded since you started? Really?
I think definitely.
Are you a different Taryn to what you were when you started?
Oh yes.
Paint a picture for us.
Oh my gosh. Oh God. I'm thinking. Just thinking of China. Just coming to China on its own, like stitched me in so many ways. I think. I think the way I view people is totally different. Like, I think it's weird actually, because even though I traveled a lot, and I know my thinking has always been different to my fellow peers in South Africa and whatever, but somehow this time around it's just added a whole nother dimension to the way I see people. Like, I feel I see them more. I see people. It's not just, oh, okay, that's them there. now. I don't know if I'm making sense.
I think I get what you mean. Like, you kind of maybe like the groups of people that you didn't identify with before, you just wouldn't really see them as, you wouldn't think too in detail about who they are, what they're about. You just kind of see them pass by and be like, whatever, they're people. But now you see like all the diversity and all the people, you kind of see into them. You kind of like you're more attentive to different kinds of people. That's interesting. It's kind of like you've developed further compassion for wider groups of people. Is that accurate?
Yeah, spot on. And I think to an extent I've become a little bit more daring. in some ways, I think. Yeah.
You've done well. Like, I remember like the iconic moment where we were on the Great Wall of China and I had as I usually do when we travel, I had a spurt of inspiration to like start dancing around the place, and I wanted to make a video of me. Oh no, it was me singing. Yeah, because we were on the Great Wall of China. I wanted to. My life as a music, like I always have a song going around in my head, and you know that because I'm always singing out loud. But I had so in every situation I'll have like a song stuck in my head. But with the Great Wall of China, I had Mulan playing. Who is that girl I see? And I was like, oh my gosh, we should make a video on the Great Wall of China, doing this with me singing it. And I was like, I think I asked you. I was like, Taryn, you should dance and I'll sing. And I was actually surprised because I thought Taryn would be like, no. But you were actually like, okay. Like just out of the blue, you're just like, okay. How come? Because usually I think you'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Back then.
Initially, I did refuse though. I think.
Maybe like lightly, but it wasn't. You didn't put up much of a fight.
No, I didn't. It's actually very good question. I think I was just in this space of just like letting loose and just letting be.
Yeah, I got the feel that you were like, no, I'm gonna push myself in this realm.
I actually felt that with the whole trip. I think I was in that space of like, I'm really gonna push boundaries a bit when it comes to things that I do. I think.
Yeah, and I think that like on that point of like pushing yourself, I feel like I've seen that in many scenarios now with you, in situations where I think you wouldn't have done before, like even when food that we eat, or even like scenarios that would be typically difficult for a introvert or uncomfortable for an introvert, you just being like, okay, fine, okay. And I can see that maybe there's that slight fear in you, but you're like, I'm gonna go for it. And I think that's what it's all about. And I think that I think also living in China is not for the faint-hearted. Would you agree?
I agree. Yeah, however though, I feel more at ease in China though than what I did in the Middle East, to be honest.
Interesting.
I felt the Middle East was much more intense for me than what I do here.
In what way?
I feel more freer and more at ease and more at home here than what I did in the Middle East.
Why?
One of the things that bugged me actually being in the Middle East was, here they have rules and regulations and it's quite intense because of the type of country that we are, the communist thing. But with being in the Middle East, it felt like we were being watched and like every move, like you literally felt it. Here I don't feel it. I actually feel free. I feel light. Like I can actually just be. And I think to an extent there's more of a normalcy in life here than there. There you're like dictated to, like this is how you should do things. This is how you shouldn't do things. But here it's not as intense. Yes, there's the rules and regulations that comes with any country, especially for this country being what it is. But
internet security and all of that.
Exactly. you have that, you are monitored, but it's not to the degree of, I feel like there is more zoomed in and more intense. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess like, you know, the Middle East has this like, the Middle East is more focused on like moral and ethical security
Right.
and religious security, whereas
Right.
China is more focused on like political security.
Right.
Would that be accurate to say?
Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
And I see what you mean in that sense, in the sense of like, you feel like you're being watched over in the Middle East in a way where your ethical and moral decisions could bear consequences. Like, whereas I feel like in China, you like individuality. It's weird because they're not really about individuality here, but at the same time, you have the freedom to be that individual.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for Chinese people. Like, I don't know how they might feel. It might be a different thing with their upbringing. But as a foreigner, we can be individuals and not feel judged, not feel under pressure. Whereas in the Middle East, you have to kind of conform to the dress. But also, I found myself like in Dubai or even in any Middle Eastern country, when I was in the shopping mall, I'd find myself sometimes speaking under my breath, like speaking quietly, because I feel the pressure. Because no one, I don't know if you feel the same way, but in malls and stuff, or like families, you'd get the mums speaking up, but a lot of the time, like the men, they would speak very quietly, like under their breath. I don't know, was it like that in Qatar?
I found them loud.
Really?
I found them loud.
Really?
I think it depends on the situation. And like in the mall, you know, some of them are loud. Some of the men were actually very vocal and out there. I think, like I said, it depends on the situation. Like, if it was just if you're in social situations, yes, even more so. At work, though, yes, they were quieter. And when maybe the kids' parents, the fathers will come and pick up the kids, you'll find that happening. But in other circumstances, not really.
But don't you feel like with China though, there is still that element of being watched? Like, I feel like there are times when I'm still careful about what I'll say on WeChat, what I'll say on the phone, you know?
Yes, that element is still there, but yet there's some, I don't know, at the same time there's this sense of freedom. I feel more fear and light, than what I do in the Middle East.
I definitely know what you mean, and I could definitely see myself staying for the long haul here.
Yeah.
Because there's more scope to grow and
exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And do you think that might have something to do with like the size of the country? Like, I don't know, like the other countries are like small and like it feels like the opportunities are limited to the size of the country, whereas China's just like, oh, such a huge country, so many like options and opportunities.
I think so.
You know.
I think so.
Yeah, and like I feel like even if you wanted to switch your career, like if you wanted to stop being a teacher, you could still live in China and be able to do that.
Do something else,
You know.
Yeah.
And I don't think every country offers that. You know. And so, as an international teacher, do you feel like the kind of lifestyle is easier here than in the Middle East in terms of like work-life balance? Do you feel as though work's more hectic?
It's more hectic. My friend and I was chatting about this the other day, Chrissy, because we were flatmates and we were working at the same school. We were actually saying like life was full. It was busy, we were tired, but it wasn't just work. It was literally this 50-50 happening. And your work happening, your work life happening, but then you also were able to like, even after work, like I could tell my friend, hey, let's go for coffee, hey, that happens here, but it's, your day's basically done. Here you work till like what, 4:30, you get home 5:30, and your day's done. Where in the Middle East,
turbulence. Okay.
Well, in the Middle East, it's different. They worked till what, 2:30. And then you had the rest of the day. You had much more of a life, fuller life there. And so when you're feeling tired and exhausted, it's more based on the entirety of like both work and your social and family life. Where here is work. Work is that's draining you. Work is the thing that's exhausting you. And
And do you think it has something to do with the fact that also, like, of course, the work-life balance, like the time that we have after, but also like I feel like there's like so many more expats back in Qatar, so like there's more scope to build community amongst other foreigners, whereas there if you really think about it, there aren't that many in Nantong anyway. I don't know, I can't speak for Shanghai, but
apparently with Shanghai there's a big group of expats, but they're not as social and interactive. They're very much like
to themselves.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
But I feel like Chrissy has a fuller life than we do. Like, in the sense that even though work-life balance is hard, she still gets to go to church. She still gets to go to those young professionals things. Like, even when we stayed with her, she got to like go to like these like wine nights and I don't know, all these things that she did. Or whatever, these cheese nights and whatever. And I feel like we don't
have that.
We don't have that.
No.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, the other thing is also where I find in China, especially concerning the work side of things, here it's very much that the expectancy of like they're expected to perform. Like you're going to work hard here for your money. Like you're going to work hard. Whereas in Qatar or in the Middle East, like I'm gonna say Qatar at least, they have this attitude of yes you work hard, but it's not like there's still this chillness because of the culture. I think they have this chill thing about them. They just like inshallah type of thing. Like I get work, don't worry. But yeah, it's like you have to.
So true.
It's like climbing the ladder, and it's all about power. It's all about status. It's all about that type of thing. It's quite. I find it's quite a thing. In China, like yeah.
And do you think it's like it goes down to the culture? 'Cause like definitely, I would agree. In the Middle East, like even outside of teaching, like Arabs who live there, like the locals, they get paid so much for doing very little.
Exactly.
You know, the lazy society.
Yeah.
I remember in Kuwait, like Kuwaitis work. They when you go to the bank, which is different to Dubai. Like in Dubai, if you go to the bank, you'll probably be served by a Filipino or like an Egyptian, but in Kuwait, like the Kuwaitis work in the banks, but they're lazy. They'll like their kind of schedule would be like they stay up till like 4 a.m. chilling, like driving, going to shisha cafes and stuff. Then they'll sleep till like 1. And then go into the office for like 3 hours and then leave, and then they would get paid crazy amounts for it, crazy. More than we would get paid as teachers. So like I guess maybe that seeps into the teacher thing where like it's that culture of like, man, just tick the boxes, do what you need to do, and I guess it's also up to like also dependent on like the standard of the school. If it's
school, No, we were pushed at our school.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, we were pushed at hard.
Because I remember actually a North Anglia school in Kuwait, British School of Kuwait. They had a reputation of working hard. Like I remember, we used some of my friends would be friends, or some of my colleagues would be friends with people who work there, and they'd be like, those guys, they work till 5 or 6. their schedules are crazy. Like they get paid well, but is it worth it? You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. I'm happy. Like in Kuwait, it was like my salary is good enough.
Yeah.
I don't mind going home at 2:30 in the afternoon, going to like different classes and having a work-life balance.
Yeah.
What's the point otherwise?
Yeah.
Even though I think that it's important for a certain phase of your life, like for a period of your life, to go through that phase where you are just consumed in work, but I just don't think it should last forever.
No, I agree.
Because I think that whole consumed in work thing, it helps you grow, it helps you learn.
Yeah, you learn about the whole thing, like the whole work ethic thing.
Yes, discipline.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's something I really respect about the Chinese, is that they have discipline. And I think they also have a really good team ethos. Like they're good at working in teams. You don't have like those confrontations that you would with foreigners. Would you agree?
Yeah. At least this is now, I mean, if I look at our work setting, yes, I agree.
They're very good at working with others. They're very good at working with you. Like even when our HR, she organised that team building event, the way she organised it was just so like stress free. It's like, okay, you will do this, you will do that, we will work together, we make it happen, okay, goodbye. Like,
and you could see when you're in the boardroom, in the meeting room, you could see some of them did not agree, but they were like, oh, okay, they were
just let it go.
Yeah, they weren't like locked up and like even like Kate would give her opinion, but it's done in a respectful manner. Like it doesn't become a whole disagreement and tensions aren't high.
That's the thing, and I feel like also, like Kate for instance, when we work with each other, if she senses there's a bit of friction, she'll pull back, or if I sense there's a bit of friction, I'll pull back. I think that's the thing with teamwork, like, and I think that's the thing that Chinese people get quite well, is that it's not always about getting what you want, it's about getting a shared outcome. And that comes with making compromises. Sometimes if you feel so strongly about something, but sometimes you have to let it go. Sometimes you just have to be like, I just let it go.
But also just how you bring it across though at times. Because sometimes it's okay to bring it across, like make it known, but the how.
That's it.
The how. Because that causes tension. That can cause tension.
And you can feel like, I really want this thing. But you can sense maybe in the room, now is not the time to fight for it.
Right.
Because if I say it now, like, it's gonna reach boiling point, it's gonna cause tension, and then actually I'll get the opposite outcome. In the end, I'm gonna get them resenting me. I won't get what I want. So rather saying, okay, I really want this, but maybe not right now. Maybe I'll have a private conversation with this person after, or maybe I'll, bring it up the next time. It's being selective with how you do it. And I think Chinese, since I've worked with them, I've realized they're quite strategic in that way. They will avoid that conflict, but still find a way to get what they want. And I really like that. I think they're very function driven, they're very community driven, and I really like that. So, is teaching your be all and end all? Do you feel like that's the route you want to? Do you want to like advance as a teacher? Do you want to get to like deputy head, or what do you see yourself doing, and how do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What are your goals?
It's something I haven't shared with a lot of people because I feel it's something that's just very I just feel there's certain things that is you have to be careful who you share one with.
Of course.
But
what you will say.
I enjoy the concept of teaching. I enjoy teaching, but not necessarily within the education sector. I'm doing it, yes. Like, but I wouldn't necessarily say that teaching within the education sector is my thing. I do not see myself becoming deputy and like climbing the ladder on the ranks. No. You mentioned it earlier, the whole navigating grief thing is one of my passions, or something that's very dear to my heart. I'm actually going to go into it now though. I said I didn't want to, but okay. Basically, where I do see that thing going is like, I actually want to have an organization one day but when navigating grief just becomes a part of it. Navigating grief is the starting point of it, but I feel like that it's going to become just the sector of the bigger picture. Because another thing I've always been drawn to somehow is like disaster relief. And you know, the whole counseling and psychology, and I think especially with disaster relief things like efforts and that, they need psychologists, they need counselors with the trauma and all of that takes place. And sometimes it feels like, let's say the tsunami that happened with here in South Asia. Sometimes after it happens, they set up these makeshift tents, and they'll have like sessions with just trying to create actually as normal setups for the kids and for the people, but then also have like these counseling therapy sessions with the people. I just love that, helping people out in those kind of settings. And there's a grief side of things. So that is there's more to the organization, but I'm not going to go delve into it even more, but that is so it's still, even the cross-cultural thing still happens. I mean, that is going to be a part of me always. I love that cross-cultural thing happening. Love it. But the interaction would be different. It wouldn't be within the education sector. It wouldn't be the way it's happening now.
Yeah, and I feel like grief is such a specific thing. I mean, you know, you often get people who are interested in being therapists, or interested in, you know, working with people through issues that they're dealing with. But grief, it's very particular, and I feel like it's the kind of thing you would want to go into because there's some kind of like a personal connection with it, or some kind of thing that's happened in your life that brings forth that passion.
Definitely.
Is that true, or is it that you just grew up being like, oh, I want to know?
It's a long story, but yes, it's a very personal thing because of what I've experienced myself.
Yes.
Because of what I've experienced, because of my losses, how people dealt with it, their reactions to it, that caused me to want to go into it. And just about the whole teaching or educating, like, that is one of the things, like, part of the whole navigating grief thing is like wanting to educate society on it. Like, because they miss it, you know, they miss it like in a major way, and you find people that's grieving, they get hurt even more in the process because the rest of society does not know how to deal with their current situation. So there's that aspect to it, and then there's also wanting to journey and work with the person that is grieving, because the one that is grieving sometimes they're going crazy because of the things they're experiencing. So you want to kind of normalize as unique as it is for that individual that's grieving, still there's a normalness to it, a normalcy to it, because a lot of things that they do experience, a lot of other people that are grieving experience it too, you know. So it's like wanting to help people navigate through the grief, and create a safe space, and know that they're able to trust whoever is working with them. So it's like that dual thing.
And I think it's such an important topic because I know that for me, my own perception of grief was always that maybe you go and cry in a room, get over it, and just move on. And I think that's probably because of my exposure to it as I was growing up. Often what you see in movies, and I think nowadays with movies things are changing, and they're kind of exposing it more. They're showing more raw sides of it, which I think is really awesome. But I definitely think also, like as you said, just affirming to people that this is normal what you're feeling, or acknowledging that everybody's journey is unique, but also we have shared experiences. And I think I haven't ever faced dealing with losing someone super close to me, but in the times I have faced losing someone, there are thoughts I have of like, why am I acting this way? Why am I feeling this way? This is weird. I shouldn't be. This means I'm not a good person, or this means that I'm not respecting that person. All these strange emotions come up in a way that's so different to any other thing you could experience.
Yeah.
And I feel,
I just want to touch on the fact that you're saying that it's such a unique, the fact that I'm interested in grief, such a specific thing. And it's weird you're saying that because just recently, I mean, myself came through therapy. Even though I'm passionate about grief and want to help others through this, I realized I needed to have someone walk through mine as well. So, currently I'm doing therapy, and with me changing of therapist, I had to then now choose on the app. They ask you to choose what type of therapy you're looking for and like indicate those type of things. So it's either like anxiety or relationships or trauma, whatever. And obviously one of my top things was grief. But then they give you the list of different therapists that they have, and it's so weird that out of I think 28, maybe more, maybe there's more, over 30 therapists, there was probably like max 3 or 4 of them that has grief as a speciality, like this special.
Wow.
They're like specialists in that.
Such an untapped market.
And I was like, what? That was weird. It was weird.
Wow.
So like they gave me the selection of therapists, and one of my things was grief, but there's only these 3 or 4 people that they gave me, and that was quite interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I guess there you go. That's kind of explains it. Like you're going into a very untapped market. And why is it, do you think, that not many people go into grief? What would you say?
Well, grief, we kind of touched on it last night in our conversation. One of the things grief needs is empathy, and it's going to cause you to like become, it causes you to step outside of your comfort zone.
But someone might argue all forms of therapy require empathy, so why does grief require, what's different? What would you say? Because obviously there is something, because not many people go into it.
Yeah.
So, based on your opinion, what would you say?
Okay. I think I'll go more to my experience. Based on what I've experienced, basically, like me losing people.
But why would anyone want to go into it? Just experience.
Why would anyone want to? No. Why would anyone want to go into grief?
Yes, and what does it require of you that's different to the rest?
And for me, I find that being willing to actually face those feelings and those emotions, because I find a lot of people are too scared to go there. I had a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about her grief and stuff in any case the other day, and that was one of the things that like her husband was like, okay, don't go there now, because if you go there, you're gonna go, like a lot of people feel that they go into it, they're out of control, they're gonna go into this deep dark hole and then won't be able to get out of it. and it scares a lot of people. And because it's this unfamiliar thing in society, it's never been touched on really. It's never been spoken about. Like you already spoke about, like, okay, you don't go there. If you deal with it, you deal with it in quiet. So it's this unfamiliar thing to society. It's scary to society. So not a lot of people are willing to go there because it's so scary. So you need to be willing to go to those scary, deep places and actually feel it. Because, and this is the thing with loss, it's so deep. It affects you on such a deep level. Like, how do I explain it? It affects you mentally, emotionally, physically. And this is the thing, it's so overwhelming. And people just avoid it. They just don't want to go there. They don't want to touch it. They experience it and just carry on because it's too deep to even go there.
Yeah, like I actually can't think of anything worse emotionally, if I think about it, than dealing with grief, in the sense that if you were to find out that your spouse or your family member had cancer, that would be deeply, deeply scarring. But then actually losing them is like the utmost, because what you're afraid of with cancer is losing them. But then when they're gone, they're gone. And then it's like what you were afraid of is what happened.
Yeah.
And that's
scary.
That's scary, and it's probably the worst thing in our existence to have to deal with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, next to maybe knowing that you're terminally ill and that you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You know, because like hope is lost then.
Yeah.
You know, there's no hope because it's like they're gone.
Yeah.
I can't hope for them to come back.
No. That is the thing. The fact that they are gone forever. I'm doing this because of. Also, like,
yes.
We have belief system that counters that though, but it's that thing of it's like they're gone forever. Nothing is ever going to bring me back. Nothing.
They're gone for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So yeah, it's and I always say, like, I mean, just coming from South Africa, there was the huge, I mean, it happened across the world, stateside and all that, there was this major outbreak of AIDS. It became a big thing. And in South Africa, I don't know what they did.
Were you alive when that happened?
Yeah. I was part of, I think it was like, I was in the latter part of it when it was such a major thing.
You were born in the latter part of it?
Yeah. And at least it's in South Africa. So it was quite a thing. So what they were doing was like sending out different like volunteers. They form these they create campaigns and things, and then they'll go to different schools and educate people on it. How to be careful, what to do, what not to do. And that's just one of the things that they would do, like educating everybody about AIDS or TB was also quite a big thing in South Africa. And they'll go to people, okay, this is how you do it, this is how you don't do it, this is what you must do and look out for it. And yet I find that we are educated on so many other things, yet grief is one of the most common things that you can experience, but it's the thing that you're least educated on. And I think that is the other thing that pushed me as well, like it's like we need to be educated on this, like, because it's something that, and it's one of the most intense emotions or experiences we're ever going to experience in our life.
So is that something you focus on doing, which is like educating people about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any ideas about how you're going to go about doing that?
I think
or more importantly, what do you think needs to be done?
Like already, just I mean, for me now at the moment, I have the page navigate through the Instagram page, Facebook page. But
what is there lacking in our world?
Forget that. But what I think for me, where it started, it initially actually started just within my family. I kind of started getting them more aware of what grief is really about.
So starting with your immediate community,
yes,
you can influence the people around you.
Exactly. I mean, I've just seen the change within my mom, my sister, my dad is getting there. But even with my aunt, my granny, because my granny was a firm believer in like, no, you have to keep it together. You don't show emotions, how people do, especially to society and people out there. She was like that type. But when you were by yourself, that's when you express yourself. But she started becoming a bit easy on herself. With regards to that, like, and even my uncles, my aunt, they became a bit more. They understand it a bit more now than before. So that's where I kind of started, and then also with navigating grief, and even just like with friends and family. When a friend loses someone, automatically stepping in and I kind of walking them through it. Like just because they lost someone, I kind of want to walk with them and make them understand. Even educating them, not just society, but them as well.
The ones who are actually experiencing it.
Yeah.
Make them realize it's okay that you feel this way.
Exactly.
You're validated for it. Actually, like I remember you two once telling me, whatever you feel is valid. The fact that you don't know how to act. Actually, I remember you saying, just act how you want to act. Don't feel guilty for acting anyway. If you feel happy, act happy. If you feel sad, act sad. And I found that very freeing, because I was like, it takes the pressure away.
Yeah.
Because you're like, because you feel like, say you're feeling happy, you feel the pressure to be sad, to act sad.
Yes.
You know, or if everyone's sad around you, you feel the pressure to, like, I don't know, keep the mood happy. You know.
Yeah.
So. Or to keep the conversation light, or you know. So yeah, that really helped me, just remembering that whatever I feel is okay, and whatever I want to say is okay, and you know, you won't be judged for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so what does there need to be more of in our, you know, you said that with AIDS pandemic, they had all sorts of educational stuff and etc. What would you like to see in a perfect world for more awareness of grief? Like, not just with navigating grief, just in general. Like, what's lacking?
I think one of the things is that I would love society for it to be less of a taboo thing. For it to become more normal in society, because it's still a thing that people avoid. And people are very open about. And also, yeah, I think that is one of the things, to normalize grief, mostly. To normalize it in society. So it makes it easier, because that helps already with, like, if you're grieving and it becomes this norm in society, it makes your journey and your healing a bit more easier. And it's a bit more healthier. But in society at the moment, they're still like dodging it, and they're still awkward about it, and they, which kind of causes more hurt actually at times, and also like not just in one way. There's a lot of things that people would say that doesn't help the grieving person, like, oh, they're in a better place. Oh, like, no, there's certain things you do not do and do not say.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I actually saw a movie recently called Wild Oats. Oh my gosh, it's about these two older women who are best friends, and it starts in a funeral service, and one of the older ladies has lost her husband, and you would like it, because basically they go to the ceremony and then they go home, and during the wake people are going up to her like, you are so strong. And she's like, am I?
Yeah.
And then they're like, he's in a better place. And then she's like, but then she responds in really weird ways. She's like, no, or like, go away. Like she just says like random things.
Yeah.
Or because she's like, why are these people acting this way? Leave me, like just all these. And then her daughter literally like comes up to her at the wake and says, oh, this is like a real estate agent. Like this house can be valued at like $1 million if you want.
I mean,
you know. Like in that way, you know,
exactly.
and another one comes up to her. It's meant to be like a comedy, so it's like over the top. But another woman comes up to her and says like, my dad has also lost his wife, and like maybe you guys could get together. And she's just like, what?
At the wake.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I found that really interesting, because it's like kind of shows you all of the even though it's exaggerated, it shows you all of the inappropriate ways that people.
You're saying it's like exaggerated, but I don't even think it is.
Really?
That is real. I think that is so real. Like, you find people really doing that. You really find people doing that. And I think that is why they're able to put it in the movie, because it's what really happens. That is just, you find that happening all the time. And also to add to your question, like, what I love to see more of is, you touched on it. The person is grieving to feel more freer and lighter during their journey, because as they grieve, because there's so much of like unspoken rules in society and expectations in society that we grow up in, and now so we grow up in certain okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like we grow up in certain with this unspoken expectations of rules in society. And then once if I lose someone, I think that's how it should be done. I automatically bring it into my journey, which makes it even more harder and weightier. This makes it even more heavier to carry. And so basically bringing the truth to even the person that's grieving, making them understand, like kind of letting go, peeling back those things that is unnecessary, like you're saying, freeing the person, because just the loss on its own, it's deep and it's heavy and messy and unpredictable and it's uncertain, so adding those extra bits to it, those unspoken expectations and things in society, makes it even harder.
And I feel like you have such a gift at that. Like just from the small experiences that I've had with you and the conversations, I felt freed. And I think that there are only certain people who are put on this earth to be able to do stuff like that. So I think that definitely the work that you're doing is a blessing.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing where you go with it. I think, it's only the beginning for you, and I think that it'll be really interesting to see how your international experience kind of seeps into the work that you do with grief. Well, Taryn, this was a very productive, interesting, in-depth, plain discussion. Thank you so much for being such an open book and providing so much valuable insight into being an international individual, international teacher, and also someone who is a professional at dealing with grief and helping people through grief situations. And until next time, hopefully have you on again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Goodbye.